We live in an age of constant external stimulation, a perpetual echo chamber that pulls the masculine spirit outward, demanding reaction and release. I was caught in that current, a man perpetually distracted, my energy scattered like dust in the wind. I was achieving the typical markers of success, but beneath the surface, there was a hollowness, a quiet crisis of identity. I felt like a radio station constantly searching for a clear signal, never quite finding the frequency of my own strength. Before we dive into the secrets of semen retention power, make sure you subscribe now and join our Telegram family. The link's in the description. Don't miss the exclusive insights and daily motivation that will keep your energy, focus, and discipline unstoppable. Your success journey starts today. This deficiency wasn't physical. It was one of presence. I noticed how I would enter a room and leave no trace, how my conversations lacked anchor, and how the women I admired often looked straight through me. One wasn't unattractive, nor was I unintelligent. Yet I possessed a frustrating invisibility, the mark of a soul that had given away its vital fire for fleeting, momentary solace. The modern world tells us that if you feel empty, you should buy something, or consume something, or vent something. But the ancient wisdom, which I stumbled upon, almost by accident, suggested a terrifying counter-narrative. The emptiness is caused by the expenditure of your most precious internal resource. It was a radical concept, semen retention, that demanded complete sovereignty over my own desire. It was less about repression and far more about redirection. The first few days were a struggle against habit, a fierce internal wrestling match. I had to learn to sit with the fire, to hold the voltage, and to stop seeking the immediate oscar. But then, the quiet miracle began. The frantic noise in my mind started to subside. The anxiety that had been a constant companion retreated to a manageable corner. It felt as if a profound, invisible leak had finally been sealed, allowing the pressure within to build, not aggressively, but stably. My focus sharpened to an almost uncomfortable degree. Projects that had dragged on for months were completed in days. The energy I used to spend chasing momentary gratification now flowed directly into my work, my passion, and my physical vitality. This wasn't just a mental trick. It was a physical sensation of being fundamentally rewired. I wasn't aiming for a superficial change. I was aiming for solidity. I started looking at the world with a sense of calm scrutiny, no longer a frantic participant, but a centered observer. This internal transformation was the quiet forging of the raw presence built not on external effort, but on conserved internal strength. The emergence of the inexplicable vibe, the change in how I was perceived, began subtly. Initially, it was just better eye contact. People didn't dart their eyes away, they held mine. They leaned in when I spoke, not because my words were louder, but because they seemed to carry more weight. I stopped needing to convince people and simply started stating truths. The shift in female interaction, however, was dramatic and truly defied logic. This wasn't just typical attraction based on grooming or physique. It was deeper, more elemental. They were drawn in a way they couldn't intellectually justify. I remember my first clear encounter, standing in a coffee line. A woman, Chloe, who was utterly composed and impeccably dressed, dropped her phone. I didn't rush to pick it up, nor did I try to charm her. I simply stood still, watching her retrieve it with a slight, calm smile that required no verbal explanation. Her reaction was confusion. She apologized, but her eyes lingered, not with flirtation, but with query. She couldn't reconcile the simple man standing in line with the deep, quiet gravity she felt emanating from him. That was the moment I understood. This energy violates their expectation of male behavior. They expect urgency, need, a desire for external validation, the frantic, depleting energy that dominates the modern male landscape. Instead, they encounter stillness. They feel a man whose purpose is internal and complete. And this completeness is the most magnetically destabilizing force a man can possess. She can't explain it because it isn't rational. It's not about my height or my success. It's about a vibration, a deep, subterranean hum of energy that tells her, on an instinctual level, that I don't need anything from her. And the moment a woman senses a man doesn't need her, her mind begins to frantic, obsessive search for why. This is the power of the retained essence. It changes the frequency of your entire being. You stop vibrating at the shallow level of immediate physical gratification and resonate at the frequency of creative purpose. That resonance is what women are unknowingly obsessed with, because it represents stability, focus, and potential, the very things often missing from their partners. The true secret isn't in what is retained, but in what that retained energy is transmuted into the raw material of life, deliberately redirected into the subtle architecture of the soul, forging an aura that defies logic. It becomes an internal citadel, and everyone who approaches feels the warmth and the strength of its walls. This magnetic pull is the subconscious recognition of Ojas, the spiritual fire the ancient sages describe. It is the palpable evidence that I am not emptying myself, but accumulating. And that is what stops them in their tracks, overriding their conscious defenses and leaving them utterly intrigued. The internal fire is now visible as external light. My encounter with Chloe didn't end in the coffee shop. The universe, it seems, has a way of testing the strength of a newly formed aura. She engineered a follow-up, a chance meeting a week later, her composure this time slightly frayed, replaced by an unmistakable edge of curiosity. She didn't lead with small talk about the weather or the price of lattes. She led with a question about my work, searching for the source of my focus. She was looking for a logical explanation, a massive financial, whiny thing, external she could categorize and dismiss. But the secret is that the power source is always internal. I answered simply and honestly, speaking about my goals with a quiet passion that didn't seek her approval, but simply existed as fact. The energy in my words wasn't manic or promotional. It was heavy with intent. This frustrated her precisely because she is used to decoding performance. Most men perform for validation. I was simply being her. Attempts to find the switch that turns on my ego failed, leaving her emotional system in a state of cognitive dissonance. Her eyes constantly searched my face, my posture, and my gestures, trying to find the tell, the insecurity, the desire for her admiration. But when the well is full, the tap is closed. The energetic need was absent, replaced by a calm, appreciative acceptance of her presence. This non-need is the primary fuel for the obsession. A high-value woman like Chloe is accustomed to being the sun in every man's orbit. When she encounters a man who already possesses his own internal sun, she doesn't feel rejected. She feels challenged, primal, powerfully challenged. The challenge is simple. What is he reserving? And why is he reserving it from me? She sees me as a puzzle because my response to her beauty and status doesn't follow the predictable script dictated by my biology. My biology is integrated with my will. My sexual desire is redirected into my spirit. I began to feel the heat of her focused attention. It was a heavy, intoxicating energy. But the discipline of retention had taught me to process that energy, not react to it. Her flirtation became the very fuel for my discipline, a constant reminder that this internal power was real and palpable. This energy conserved, transmuted, and radiating out became a psychic shield. Her attempts to derail my focus, to pull me into her emotional drama or her game, simply met the resistance of my unshakable core. She was trying to spin a top that was already perfectly balanced. The more I remained centered, the more her attempts became desperate, yet refined. She wasn't just attracted to me. She was attracted to the calm I represented, the eye of the storm that she, as a powerful, high-energy woman, unconsciously needed. It's the profound difference between a flickering candle and a banked fire. The flickering candle is easily extinguished by wind. The banked fire produces reliable, intense heat and light, capable of sustaining life. She wanted to stand near the heat. The transmutation, alchemy of the soul, the true work of retention isn't passive endurance, it is active transmutation. This is where the ancient Taoist concept of Jing becomes less philosophical and more experiential. It is the physical feeling of raw, biological energy being drawn up and refined. I visualize this process during meditation, feeling the intense, potent force at the base of my spine and directing it upward, feeding the nervous system, fueling the prefrontal cortex. It's the physical sensation of intelligence being fed by libido. The result is a tangible increase in emotional equanimity. Life's minor irritations, traffic, bureaucracy, minor betrayals don't erode my patience. They bounce off the density of my internal state. This non-reactivity is the core component of the aura that defies logic. When another person, particularly a woman, witnesses a man completely calm in the face of chaos, they perceive him as powerful, even if they can't name the mechanism. They feel the absence of need for external validation, and that is fundamentally intoxicating. This practice forces a man to confront and utilize his darkest, most primal energy. Instead of letting that energy control him, he learns to harness its immense force. This is the alchemy of the soul, turning base physical matter into the subtle, energetic gold of Ojas. The physical changes followed the energetic shift. My voice deepened, carrying a new resonance that seemed to vibrate in the chest of listeners. My skin took on a subtle, healthy glow, and my eyes became clearer, sharper, reflecting the intense internal focus. But more importantly than physical changes, I began to operate from a state of internal abundance. I was no longer chasing opportunities or success, I was attracting them. My confidence was not a mask worn for performance. It was the simple, undeniable reflection of a man who knows he is maximizing his own potential. This is the power Chloe was reacting to. She wasn't obsessing over a man. She was obsessing over the unmet potential in herself, mirrored by the abundant potential she sensed in me. My aura was a challenge to her, to rise to her own highest self, and that challenge is the deepest form of attraction. The logic of modern dating is a flimsy construct built on external appearances and shared consumer habits. My aura bypasses this layer entirely, speaking directly to her primal, biological need for a stable, internally powered masculine force. It is the vibration of the provider, the protector, and the creator, the man who doesn't leak his power. And because this deep-seated resonance overrides her conscious, rational filters, she becomes consumed by the mystery. She can define every other man she meets, but she cannot define the one whose energetic wellspring is hidden from the world and reserved only for his own ascent. She can't explain it, and that's why she is obsessed. The field effect and social sovereignty. The effect of this reserved energy is not limited to romantic interest. It creates a field effect that alters the entire social dynamic around the man. I started noticing how men treated me differently, the shift from casual camaraderie to an immediate, though unspoken, respect. In meetings, my opinions carried undue weight, often without needing to be the loudest or most aggressive voice. The sheer presence in my words commanded attention. I was no longer arguing for my perspective. I was presenting a settled reality, backed by the conserved, focused energy I carry. Other men, though still caught in the cycle of depletion, reacted with a mix of awe and discomfort. They sensed the difference, the stability that contrasts sharply with their own restless, anxious energy. They see a man who has mastered the greatest form of power, mastery over self. This sovereignty is the practical, observable outcome of semen retention. It is the ability to walk through a world of temptations and distractions without being pulled off center. It is the ultimate display of self. For Chloe, and women like her, this social sovereignty is the final, magnetic piece of the puzzle. They are looking for a man who is the center of his own universe, not one who orbits theirs. They want to be a beautiful addition to a powerful life, not the sole purpose of a desperate one. The man who retains knows the value of his own siddhi, the life-giving creative force, and chooses to invest it internally first. This act of profound self-respect generates an aura that cannot be bought, cannot be faked, and cannot be logically explained. It is the primal signature of high value. She can analyze my clothing, my car, and my job, and still come up empty. The source of my charisma is an ancient wisdom hidden inside my modern life, the disciplined accumulation of my vital essence. This secret is what makes the difference, turning an average man into an unforgettable, magnetic force. The obsession reached its zenith one evening when Chloe finally cornered me. Her usual cool facade entirely dropped. Her voice was low, taut with frustrated curiosity. "Tell me," she insisted, her hand gripping my arm. "What did you change? You are the same man, but you feel like a mountain. Every other man I meet feels like sand. They erode. What are you holding back?" Her question was a desperate attempt to apply logic to a purely energetic phenomenon. She was searching for the supplement, the guru, the quantifiable, external change. I looked at her, truly seeing the depth of her confusion, and offered only the simplest, most impossible truth. I stopped spending my future on my past. She released my arm, her eyes wide. She was looking for a specific answer, a technique she could master, but I had given her a profound truth about commitment. The aura that defied her logic was simply the result of energetic integrity. I wasn't lying, manipulating, or performing. I was consistently building. I realized then that the secret cannot truly be taught, only practiced. The aura is the language of the disciplined spirit, and one cannot understand the language by reading a dictionary. One must immerse oneself in the culture of self. She finally understood that the magnetic force was not a trick to attract her, but a side effect of a man entirely devoted to his own ascent. That realization shattered her need to control the interaction, replacing it with a quiet, almost reverent respect. She left that night, not with a conquest, but with a challenge to her own life philosophy, the highest form of masculine freedom. This journey of retention is ultimately about redefining freedom. The modern concept is freedom to indulge, freedom to consume. But the ancient freedom is the freedom from compulsion, the glorious ability to hold the greatest biological impulse and redirect its power toward the highest spiritual or creative aim. This is the return to the sacred masculine. It is the understanding that the purpose of male energy is not merely procreation, but creation itself, the building of empires, art, philosophy, and future. The vital essence is the sacred fuel for all these endeavors. When a man chooses to reserve and transmute, he chooses the path of the creator over the path of the consumer. He becomes the anchor in a chaotic world, the lighthouse for himself and for others, radiating a stability that is desperately needed. Do not let this powerful momentum fade. 2 things before you go. First, hit the like button to show the algorithm we are a force. And subscribe immediately so you don't lose the frequency shift we just created. The persistent censoring of this ancient knowledge is, therefore, a deliberate act of cultural castration. A man disconnected from his vital essence is a man who is predictable, docile, and is only led by external cues, the perfect consumer, constantly seeking to fill the internal void with external purchases. But the retained man is a force of nature. He carries a density that cannot be ignored. His energy is not frantic, but purposeful. He doesn't need to shout to be heard. His very presence creates a ripple of attention and respect. The obsession of the woman is simply her primal system, recognizing this density, the undeniable, non-negotiable reality of a man operating at his maximum internal voltage. She can't explain it because it is not a phenomenon of the physical world, but of the energetic universe. It is the raw, potent truth that is hidden in plain sight. The greatest power a man possesses is not his strength, but his discipline. The aura that defies logic is the visual signature of a warrior who conquered his deepest, most primal self. The choice, then, is simple and stark: to continue leaking your most vital resource into the sand of instant gratification, or to seal the leak, bank the fire, and begin forging the magnetic, undeniable aura of the retained man.